BBC Coventry and Warwickshire. Tim and Marion at breakfast on your Thursday morning, 9th of September.
Our top story this morning, the route of the planned high-speed rail line in Warwickshire has been changed. At 7 o'clock, Paul Marriott has your news headlines.
The Royal Showground at Stoneleigh in Warwickshire could be cut in half by the planned high-speed rail line through the county. The original plans drove the line through Stareton and close to the villages of Ladbroke and Burton Green, but they've been changed. That means the villages are safe, but not the showground. Kenilworth and Southam MP Jeremy Wright says the changes follow intense lobbying.
There are 3 constituencies of all those affected up and down the line where changes have been made. And I have to say, looking at the proposals that I have seen outlined, I think perhaps the most substantial changes have come in Kenilworth and Southam, and I think that's a tribute to all those who've been involved in making the arguments.
8:20. We've been hearing this morning that the government is changing the proposed route of the high-speed rail line through Warwickshire after consultations with people who'll be affected by it.
The latest proposals for the 250-mile-an-hour track have been seen by the Kenilworth and Southam MP, Jeremy Wright. He told us on the show earlier on today that although the route may have moved away from some villages, it now looks like it'll be going a straight line through the National Agricultural Centre at Stoneleigh.
I think it's important to argue that if the line is to run through the National Agricultural Centre, appropriate compensation is made, and that we link the 2 remaining parts of the site as closely together as we can with overbridges or the like. You also have to make an argument that the route should move completely.
Well, let's get the views of some of the campaigners along the route. Then, first of all, Alan Lumley, who's chair of the Stareton High Speed Action Group, also chair of the Stoneleigh Park Residents Association. Hi there, Alan.
Good morning.
As I understand it, then the route will skirt away this newly designed route, the changes to the route, and take it further away from Stareton. Do you welcome that?
Yes, of course. In fact, there was provision in the March documents, the command paper, for the route to be refined and realigned, possibly through the NAC, and that, in fact, is what HS2 and the government have indeed done. So we are quite pleased, or very pleased about it, in fact, because it now, previously, it obliterated the hamlet of Stareton. Now it bypasses it to some extent and saves the houses that we have there.
What does it do for the future of the National Agricultural Centre, then? Is that a price that we pay, do you think?
I think the National Agricultural Centre is a business as opposed to residential area, and frankly, it has lost its status of holding the Royal Show over the past few years. It's given that up, and if the rail line is put into a cut-and-cover tunnel, which I understand is the proposal, then in effect, once the line is built and the land is restored, it can virtually carry on as before, I would guess.
So as you understand it, that it will be a tunnel through the showground rather than kind of overground?
As I understand it from discussions with HS2's people over the past few months, it will be a cut-and-covered tunnel. In other words, a trench is dug, a concrete tunnel is constructed and then covered over through the majority of the NAC, and it will exit somewhere, well, south. I'm not entirely sure where, but yes, most of it a cut-and-covered tunnel.
Okay, Alan, for the moment, thanks a lot for your time. Just to recap on some of the changes to the route that we heard from Jeremy Wright MP a little earlier on the programme. The route would go deeper. It would actually go through a tunnel near Burton Green now, so less effect for that village. The line would move further away from the village of Ladbroke near Southam, and as we just mentioned, move further away from Stoneleigh village, but would go through the site of the National Agricultural Centre. Let's bring in Joe Rukin at this point. Joe's chair of the Kenilworth Action Group. Morning, Joe.
Good morning, yes.
What do you think of what you see?
Well, this is the thing. There's a lot of winners, a lot of losers, and that's the problem with this. One of the reasons that we have been saying right from the start that the whole thing's scrapped is because wherever you move it to, there are winners and losers.
Who are the losers in this case?
Kenilworth, Southam, Covington. It's a very odd statement that HS2 Ltd have made. Is that they say that they've tried to move it away from population centres, but they seem to have moved it from the smallest villages.
Yeah, Jeremy Wright was saying that in the case of Southam, yes, it does move nearer Southam town, but it moves nearer to an industrial area of Southam. So, do you go along with that?
Well, not particularly, in that it moves closer to the side of Southam. And obviously, people live there.
And tell us why you think Kenilworth loses, then.
Well, it's going to move about 300 yards closer to Kenilworth as a result of this. So it's going to move a lot closer to people's houses. It's going to go through the golf club. And, of course, with the whole thing at Stoney Park, there may not be the Royal Show there anymore, but there are hundreds of jobs there. My sister works there, and the firm that she works for was seeking planning permission for a new building, which is unlikely to happen now because...
I think we need to get some clarification as to we need to get some clarification, don't we, as to whether we do think it does going to go through a tunnel at the National Agricultural Centre. Alan said he certainly believes so. But in terms of, you say that it'll go near Kenilworth Golf Club, and it's a very kind of pretty country lane, and you can see that from the A46, can't you? But it's very much the outskirts of the town. You're not talking about it carving its way through the middle of Kenilworth.
Well, no, that's true. It's not carving its way through the middle of Kenilworth. However, it's getting closer, and this is the thing with high-speed rail, is that because you can't really bend it very much, if you move it a little, then it ends up moving a lot at other places. And it just seems exceptionally bizarre. And the realistic proposition is that as a country, we don't really need this thing. There isn't a business case for it, and there isn't an environmental case for it.
Okay, it's a good case to leave. It's a good point to which to leave it. Joe, thanks a lot for your time this morning. There are kind of arguments ongoing about the finer details of it, about the route. And of course, there's the bigger argument, which Joe just touched on there, as to whether actually the country needs it or not. But either which way, you just heard from Joe Rukin, chair of the Kenilworth Action Group, and also from Alan Lumley, the chair of the Stareton High Speed Action Group.